Sacrifice again has that funny record cover. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. It's Sacrifice, Motorhead, 1995. Look in the mouth of Warping Snaggletooth. You'll find it. Don't Waste Your Time. Dogface Boy. Another good, solid, I would say middle of the road Motorhead record. Worth a good couple listens. This is the last record with Wilhelm, and then afterwards they revert to be a three-piece, so 3 people. And then comes Overnight Sensation. This is my favorite Motorhead record. It's really good, start to end. It sounds good. The songs are good. I don't believe a word. That's their famous song off of the record. Broken, Overnight Sensation, Eat the Gun, Shake the World. My personal favorite is the opener, Crazy Like a Fox. And it's all a very good solid record. It's kind of a little bit unusual because of the record cover. It shows a picture of the band, and this is the first one after Wurzel was gone. But my personal favorite. Ironically, the next record, Snakebite Love, I hate it. I don't know. I tried to listen to it a couple of times, but I don't like it. This, to me, it's the worst, hands down, the worst Motorhead record ever released. And before we go into the new decade, the new millennium, let's go back to Judas Priest. This is where my regular albums end for Priest, so I'll just tell it without showing you. So we're going back to the insane Painkiller record, insane tour, Operation Rock and Roll. They bring the tour all over, bombastic American tour. And unfortunately, things come to a head here. Rob is injured at the end of the last show of the tour. I don't know how instrumental this is in bringing things to an end, but he leaves with slamming the door behind him. But of course, the story is not so straightforward. He doesn't immediately announce that he's leaving. There's rumors back and forth. First of all, he just says that he's going to make a solo album and taking a break. And there's a lot of, the press is very busy with it. And for me, that was a miserable time because I didn't know what was going on. And there's the famous concert, as we know, with Black Sabbath wanting Dio to open for Ozzy. Of course, Dio refuses to do such a thing because he's not going to open for a clown. And so Halford sits in for him, or stands in. You have those recordings in existence. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think he did a decent job, but he doesn't really belong in Black Sabbath. Or maybe they have to do the songs in the studio to somehow fit the voice. But as much as he did a good job, it doesn't fit there. And I think that the recordings that are in existence are not good quality recordings. But anyway, by end 93, early 94, it's official. He's leaving the band forever. There's bad blood, and Priest are starting to look for a new singer and releasing new material. And in my opinion, here there is a colossal mismanagement of the band. Although, as much as I would love to dump a trailer full of horse manure on Andrews, it might not be fair, because I think that the band has a very decent share of the blame of what happened next. They waste way too much time finding a vocalist, and they know good and well that Rob's shoes could never be filled. The closest replacement in my mind, was a guy from a German covers band who came vocally very close to Rob. But he looked very different, his stage presence was different, and for some reason Priest only wanted an American and only someone without prior public exposure. So I think they should have made an exception for the German guy. He fit in vocally very, very good with Priest. I think to this day the closest vocal that I found to Priest. But again, of course, you can't escape the allegation that he's going to be a Rob copy. We'll never know because he ended up not joining the band. What were the choices? What were the alternatives? I was at the time screwing in the rooftops, from the rooftops. Guys, don't have a singer. Continue as a non-vocal band. Play all the songs, and instead of the lyrics, substitute something, a melody, a solo. Just develop the music so that you don't need a singer and go to tour like this. Alternative one, how well would it have gone down with the heavy metal audience or the heavy metal world? Not very well, probably. But was Tim Owens better? Of course, they couldn't have predicted that, but here you go. This for sure would have garnered them much less financial stability or success. So, but at least they knew that they can't fail like this. So that the core audience would have followed them, singer or not singer. Yes, a lot of people would have been upset. A lot of people would not have liked it, would not have understand it. They would have been a scaled down Judas Priest, but there would have been a novelty that would have made a lot of shockwaves to make it kind of like a fusion band, right? Like El De Miola and Chick Corea and things like that. And Return to Forever, Weather Report. Don't have lyrics, just don't have words. Jeff Beck has very, very little lyrics, right? And he was successful. He's more like rock, he's more, okay, not exactly heavy metal, but still. I think that it would have been a good idea. They would have just, suck it up. Don't make that much money over the course of the next couple of years. Then we'll see. Another alternative that would have been very mind-blowing, very unusual, very, very not accepted maybe at the time, but I think it would have been worked out a million times better again with hindsight. But I did want this, and I did say it at the time, is to put Joan Jett, right? You know her famous video, I Hate Myself for Loving You. She had the full image, she would have fit in there. Female vocalist in a heavy metal band. I think she would have handled Rob's songs very well. Again, we don't know, we never put her in a studio, but I think it would have worked extremely well, at least temporarily. That would have brought some renewed energy. The press interest, whether positive or negative, would have been amazing. But the biggest mistake that they did is not to find someone and bang out an album immediately. They should have worked on an album in 1992 at the latest, and 1992. Go on a vacation, rest up, do nothing, get back together to write on an album and look for a vocalist and present him with a finished album. Yes, it has challenges, but you wouldn't have had to wait until 1997. But of course, from all of these options, there was one more option that at the time I was not aware, but I got to see Foreigner a couple of years back with this new guy, Kelly Hansen. Phenomenal. The guy's phenomenal. He's not impersonating Lou Gramm even one bit. He doesn't even try. He comes, I'm the new guy. I'm singing my way. I'm presenting myself on stage my way, and it works out excellent. I know that Lou Gramm fans hate him. It doesn't matter. He does a phenomenal job vocally and stage presence wise. He sings the song spot on. He's not Lou Gramm, but I don't need Lou Gramm. I need Mick Jones. And Jeff Pilsen, also very, very good musician. So anyway, he would have worked out excellent for Priest. Had they hit him up in 92 to 94, here, this is the album, it's written, get behind the mic, he would have sung it, banged it out. No, he's not another Rob Halford, but he would have handled it very well. I'm sure Priest's excuse for not writing an album is that, well, they wanted to make the music fit with the voice, which is not a bad argument, but you should have at least the foundations laid down, to have the songs finished to 70, 80, maybe 90%, and then make adjustment once you get the singer. But of course, they made every single mistake possible. They took Tim Owens, whom I have, honest to God, zero animosity towards him. I have nothing against him. Sweet guy, nice guy, I like him. But he was the wrong choice for Priest. Vocally, not bad, not halfway bad. But Priest did some incredibly stupid and bad decisions. They decided to follow the herd. They decided to go after the grunge / industrial / garbage that was going on. They decided to do a Turbo #2 to follow the fashion and the fad, instead of being good old Judas Priest. To do a follow-up for Painkiller, yes, it's difficult. Again, what's the alternative? A stupid, pseudo-death, thrash, garbage, industrial metal record? But they did release Jugulator. In and of itself, not a horrible album. Cathedral Spires is good. Bullet Train is not bad. There are a couple decent songs on the record, but no, it's really not a true Judas Priest record. I bought the record when it came out, because just it's Judas Priest. I gave it a couple listens, but that's about it. It always used to stay on the shelf and being skipped. I used to play it maybe once in 2 years or something like that. No, it's the worst Judas Priest record ever in history. It cannot be a worse one. The tours were of course smaller, but in my opinion, Tim Owens got a very, very good reception from Priest fans. And he's a good vocalist and he handles the songs well. He's not Halford, but he has a good strength, a good endurance. The high notes he cannot do, of course, like Halford. But I think that the fans accepted him immediately like family. Of course, there was some hatred, but overall, the vast majority of the fans took him, and the tour was relatively successful. I think that they didn't play to empty venues. The venues were, of course, smaller. And they finished the tour, and again, they disappeared without saying a word. Very little media interest, not a lot of press releases and press presence, nothing. Again, disappearing for a number of years. And in 2000 or 2001, they released Demolition, which in many people's opinion was even worse than Jugulator. I don't think so. It was another stupid, poor attempt at doing industrial grunge, death, crap, whatever was fashionable at the time. This time they worked out way better. So the songs and the sound, everything to me is better on Demolition than Jugulator. I would take Demolition over Jugulator any day of the week. Most of the songs are good. You got Jekyll and Hyde, and there's a couple, I forgot the name of the songs, but the two that really got me, incidentally, with the two quiet songs, Lost and Found was very good, very well written, very well performed by all the musicians, good vocal performance from Tim, so kudos for that. It's a very, very nice, moody, atmospheric song, kind of a non-priest but priest, non-priest but uniquely priest at the same time, epitaph kind of thing, fever kind of thing, Night Comes Down, those kind of songs. So this was the 2000s version of that type of songwriting, and especially the other quiet song. All of a sudden No, it's not. It's not No One Like You. It's I forgot. There is another quiet song on the album which is phenomenal. Close to You. It's a great song. It grabbed me immediately. And about 10 years later, when my mother died, it always just came back to me. And I used to listen to that song and After Image by Rush, and it was always get me. Anyway, two very, very sad records. In that period of time, Priest should have just plodded ahead and released the regular number of records, one every 2 or 3 or 4 years, and not just disappear like this and not take the worst option possible. They should have settled either on no vocalist, or Joan Jett, or Kelly Hansen, and then most probably before this guy, I think it's Ralph Sheepers, who is in Scream, Primal something, Primal Fear, Primal Damage, Primal Scream, something like that. German guy, I think that's him, Ralph Sheepers. When I saw him in Priest cover bands, he was doing an excellent job, very, very close to rock. Not identical, of course, you don't want it, but they could have released a number of records with them, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything would have been better. But that's what it is. And in great contrast, Motorhead never gave in to the fads and the fashions. They always plodded ahead and released banger after banger after banger. Yes, I just told you Snakebite Love from 97 or 98 is from my perspective the worst Motorhead record. I don't know what Motorhead fans or the media thinks about it, but I think it's an incredible record. It's very good. I'm sorry. I think it's a horrible record from a Motorhead perspective, but I'm sure that some other people like it. It might have been one of the more successful records. I don't really follow those things, especially not from Motorhead. But kudos to Lemmy. He never for 1 second gave in for these stupid fads. And in the meantime, while Judas Priest were sleeping or God only knows what the hell they were doing, Rob Halford released War of Words. Interesting album. I would say decent. In the beginning it was difficult for me to bring myself to buy the album because I hated Rob so much. I wanted to do to him things that I can't say on YouTube. I hated him almost as much as Jane Andrews for leaving the band. And then he did War of Words, which was kind of like also trying to be fashionable, also trying to be a little thrash, a little industrial, a little this, a little new metal, whatever. I don't know if the term existed back then. But it came out a very, very decent album, in my opinion. War of Words, I think, is definitely worth listening. It's not Priest. What are the good songs off of it? Vicious, Little Crazy, Nailed to the Gun. It has good songs on it. Good songs on it. The opener, a lot of people like Into the Pit. I wasn't so thrilled about it, but these three that I mentioned to you, Vicious, Nailed to the Gun, A Little Crazy, and there's another handful of songs that I like very, very much. He took good musicians. He was a good manager. So you see that Rob has some talents besides for being a vocalist. So he knew how to manage the band. He released another album, I think a year or two later, A Small Deadly Place. It didn't do nothing to me. I don't even remember because I just gave it one listen and I don't want that. In 97, around the time that Jericho Fader, Jugulator, comes out, Pt.III released 2 albums, recorded 2 albums, released 1. Baptism of Fire, very, very good record. Very, very good record. I don't remember the songs by heart, but I loved it. I do listen to it on occasion. Very good Pt.III performance. He sings. The disadvantages or the negative aspects of that album is that the sound is not, it's not that big booming sound. It's kind of like a little bit weak, a little bit thin sound. It might have been a little bit fashionable at the time, I don't know. And then there is another album that they recorded with John Entwistle and Cozy Powell. That was one of the last things that Cozy recorded before dying, right? Before the last things he did was his work with Peter Green. and then with the Brian May from Queen, and just right before that he recorded this song, Edge of the World. Very, very, very good album. Highly recommended. Again, I don't remember the song names by heart, but very good record from all aspects. Great playing, and suffers kind of from the same. I think that the quality of the recording and the production is even less than Baptism of Fire. I'd have to give it another another listen. So back to Motorhead. After Snakebite Love, which for me is their worst album ever, in 2000 they release We Are Motorhead. Another banger. Back to well, it's not really back because they didn't stray away. It's just I don't like Snakebite Love, but it's another banger. I love the crap out of this this record. Wake the Dead, Out to Lunch, Wearing Your Heart on Your Sleeve, One More Effing Time. So all good. Really, I don't think there's a bad song on the record. The next album, 2002, Hammered. I love the record. One of my favorites. Might even be my second favorite after Overnight Sensation. I love it. No Remorse, Walk a Crooked Mile. The opener, I don't know what with Motorhead, the openers are probably that good. Shut Your Mouth, great song. Brave New World. Again, it's not much to talk about Motorhead records. Their sound is a little bit revamped, renovated here. They're starting to sound a little bit more modern, and I think it was going really with the next album, Inferno, which I like less than Hammered for sure, and even less than We Are Motorhead. But Inferno, I think, saw them, how should I say it, maybe brighten or smoothen or polish a little bit their sound, a little bit more similar to regular heavy metal bands. It's almost like in 2004 someone knocked on Lemmy's door and say, hey Lemmy, you know it's not 1975 anymore, you know there's something, it's called the 80s. And he said, oh, this is what all the heavy bands from the 80s sounded. Here's Metallica and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. Oh, okay, let's can I adjust to that? Great record, I think, Inferno, and this brightening, revamping, or it's not reinventing, of course, not that not that drastic, but there is definitely a change, and the change was kind of subtle. I think in the 90s already. What was the one before Overnight Sensation? I think that the process started, but it kind of, if you listen to Inferno in 2004, that came out in 2004, that was my impression, at least. In the Black, In the Name of Tragedy, Killers, Smiling Like a Killer, Whorehouse Blues, kind of nice little ballad at the end. Good record. Next up, Kiss of Death. One of my big favorite as well. Great record. God Was Never on Your Side. Great song. Kingdom of the Worm, Under the Gun. Good, just a very good record. God Was Never on Your Side. Undoubtedly my favorite song on the record. Very good record. Good sounding, good execution. It looked like in the mid 90s or early 90s even, they started to work more on the musicianship. So as much as Lemmy was like, oh, we're a rock and roll band and we're closer to punk than heavy metal, but they polished off, and they definitely were not a punk band. You know, part of the punk band was to put the emphasis on puking on stage and putting safety pins in your nose and green mohawks and stupid things like that. And yeah, they also had some music in the background. With Motorhead, it was never like that. It was the music first and foremost, and they were musicians. Again, it's not like they played tight like Weather Report or Jacob Pastorius, but But in the mid 90s, or maybe even in the early 90s, they started to pay attention to their professionalism and musicianship. And and they became much better from that perspective. 2008. Let's do one more, okay, so that we get to 2010 with Motorhead, and this gets us to Motorizer again. Another record in the same vein. I think I like it better than Inferno. Definitely less than Kiss of Death. I would say Overnight Sensation for sure. Kiss of Death and Hammered, well, I would have a difficult time ranking them. Like I said, I'm not so super familiar with Motorhead, especially not from an album perspective. But Motorizer is also very good. I think I've seen them on that tour. They were opening for Dio's, for Heaven, for Black Sabbath with Dio. They called it Heaven and Hell. They couldn't call it Black Sabbath, but I think that they opened for them. Was very good. I liked the live show. Back on the Chain. Buried Alive, The Thousand Names of... Oh, again, Walk a Crooked Mile. I'm sorry. That's from Walk a Crooked Mile. That's from Hammer. Teach You How to Sing the Blues. Good songs. I love Motorizer. And now we're going back to Judas Priest for another turn in their history and fortunes. We left off with Demolition, and at a certain point the relationships with Rob Halford start warming up. Let's before that knock out Rob's side projects. So we spoke about War of Words, Fight, and he releases a solo record under his own name, Halford, Resurrection. And he plays pretty much traditional metal. So at this stage, someone might ask himself, why did you leave Priest in the first place? I mean, going back to kindergarten to play with the young idiots and trying to be fashionable and play industrial death thrash. He in the meantime he also had some stupid project with the guy from Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, I forgot the name of that guy. He has like the media are crazy fans of him. According to the media, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I never understood it. I've watched his project. He supposedly have some sort of horror movie that's accompanied by music, or vice versa. That the horror movie is the... I watched all that. I don't understand what people like about Nine Inch Nails, and Rage Against the Machine. I mean, you always had that aspect, pretending to be rebels, but really being with the mainstream. And Rage Against the Machine, he's a spokesman for the New York Times or CNN, and it's stupid, and he pretends to be a rebel and outcast. Idiotic. But anyway, that kind of stuff. Rob Halford released 1 or 2 records with them. Wires was the name of the record, so 2. In my opinion, it's not worth a listen. Crap. But Resurrection was very good, and that came out in 2000. Another studio record, Crucible, in 2002, and he would go on to release another one in 2010. So very good, solid metal, solid kind of, I would say almost traditional, or what was the norm towards the late 80s, kind of Skid Row, but brought up to the production and the sound of the 2000s, but without sounding, there was not a drop of new metal or industrial or death metal or whatever. And so why did you leave Priest for? You see, in fact, Priest started to do industrial metal like Rob was doing at the time. Then Rob comes back to more normal heavy metal. So they finally realized, okay, let's deduct the obvious conclusion. We shouldn't have parted ways in the first place. Rob, you want to take a break? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, go do your own thing, go do your stupid thrash industrial crap, whatever, for the new kids on the block, for the young kids, and then come back. I think with a better management, they could have mended the fences there and not having had this big bombastic leaving. Put the band on hold for a couple of years, whatever, fine. Come back after 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? At 97, that's what happened anyway. But, of course, I wasn't there to advise them. They didn't hire me as a consultant, and also they didn't have 20/20 hindsight like I have now. And so the big reunion happens, and like always with Judas Priest, things drag out. But after rumors since 2003 or so, finally they come together and they release Angel of Retribution